same.
Yeah,
They're
well,
one
they
and
are.
the same.
But let us bind the government with the chains of the Constitution, so the former does not become the legalized form of the latter, or something along those lines. In other words, the Constitution is meant to protect us from the government and the Bill of Rights, certainly. Okay?
Exactly. And as we're sitting here, let's try to segue this with what happened last night and the information that we were trying to get out. So um, uh, we had been talking, of course, about your whole this outrageousness, and we did what's happening here with
Yeah,
this.
if I could clarify one thing before we do move on, the papers that Howard was showing a few moments ago is what they call the detailed events. Now, these detailed events came from the Smart Start company, who lets them, who is actually operating in 40 states in the country right now. Now, I want to point out between the hours of 9:32 and 16 seconds on the morning of Thursday, July 6th of this year, and the time of 10:02 and 32 or 37 seconds, I took 116 tests. I blew into that machine at its request 116 times. Now, the charge for the violation I was given was failing to submit to a rolling retest. I paid the fine. I've been to court to try and have these removed, because once you do have a violation, that is an automatic 30 days added onto the 2 years that I was ordered to have this device.
I can
So,
actually make a scan of that. I'll
so
scan that. So
it's it, even if you can win your appeal in court, you do have the right to request a hearing after you pay your fine, but there is no guarantee you'll ever get a hearing. I was
And why is
fortunate. I
that?
was
Why
able to
is
get a
that,
hearing.
Dave?
yeah.
Why is there no guarantee?
You have the right to request a hearing, and that is all you may do.
Yeah, you have a right to request a hearing.
The magistrate in charge, or whoever thinks, or whatever this person's actual title is, reviews whatever, simply a letter written to them by my attorney. And I was fortunate enough, and I was told by my attorney he really had to push hard to get this hearing. Now, I have to wait 90 days to get a decision on the hearing. The one thing that can happen if I do win, which their evidence is my defense, uh, is they will remove the additional time that has been added to my requirement of having this device. But there's no provision, as far as my attorney has been able to find thus far, as to where the heck's my money and why don't I get it back.
Well, Dave, I mean, again, I'm going back, like I always do, to the principle of the thing. That's the offense for me. It's the whole concept is offensive to me and to any freedom-loving person.
Right.
Okay, that's number one. Number two is there's the additional issue that the device itself is a piece of crap. It's faulty. It does not work. And who is made to pay for this faulty device? That they are responsible for that, but the person, the victim, the
Yes,
so-called
there's in the
villain,
minutes of one of
right?
these hearings, and it was not my personal hearing, but another hearing that my attorney had been to. I was actually his second client regarding this. This is kind of new to all the attorneys as well, because everything is so unclear. But he has quoted, and it is in the minutes, where the Department of Motor Vehicle representative at this particular hearing said, and I'll quote this as best I can, that the system is totally unreliable.
Yeah.
Uh, but yet they continue to use this system,
It's like
and
Obamacare.
just because it keeps money coming in.
It's a cash cow, as you
It's a
say.
cash cow, is exactly what it
It is a
is.
cash cow. Now, on October 1st, 2013, an article which I read in the Waterbury Republican, but it's an AP article that originated from the New London Day here in Connecticut. Now, there's some numbers on there that are rather astounding. And
Yeah, the numbers are as follows. The as reported that 2,698 people in the state currently use these devices in their cars. And the device is wired to the car's ignition, of course, and it requires breath samples before the car will start. So now they have the State Department of Motor Vehicles has reported 27,099 violations from January 13th through August 1st. The majority of them, 18,625, were from initial start violations when the device would not start because of a failed test. Yet they take the money.
They take the money.
To the tune of
yeah,
$2,161,416.24 to date.
right. And I'll give you a quick way how that number came about. If we take that 27,000 violations, the lockout charge, as they call it, is not a fine. They call it a lockout charge. There's their little key wording right there, is $75. Then they tax you on that, another $4.76. So you've got 72 hours to go walk in there above your normal monthly $87 and change rental fee. It comes to $79.76.
I have-
So
do the
Dave,
math.
So
Do the
Dave,
math.
this device, now you're forced to go and pay for your $1,000 drunk driving reform course. You're forced to pay $150 to have this device installed, and you're forced to pay $90 a month in service, and if there's any violations, an additional $90 per violation.
Plus
And I-
30 days.
Plus you were in jail, and
Yes.
plus you did community service,
Yes,
and plus you didn't have your license.
exactly.
And Dave, I have a question.
Yes,
How
ma'am.
in the hell are you supposed to get to one of these stupid service centers if you can't drive your car? How the hell do they expect you to get there?
For an additional fee, you may call them up. They will give you a lockout code number, which you can pump into your machine. You then have 6 hours to get your ass over there.
In other
If you
words,
don't,
but
you're
you have
locked
to
out
find
again.
your own ride. You have to find your own transportation.
Unbelievable.
This is the most outrageous thing I think I've ever heard. It's like a communist.
It's
It's like
beyond communist.
It's pure
combination.
tyranny.
It's pure tyranny.
And Daniel Malloy, governor of this
In the
wonderful
in the
state,
unconstitutional state of
in
Connecticut.
this unconstitutional state, is
Yep.
is he's
Fascist state,
responsible for
communist
this. He
state.
signed this into law. His entire administration backed him up on it. My plan, and this is why I've been targeted in other ways since I've made this known, because I'm not one to keep my mouth shut. I'm going after Malloy.
Well, this is where we're at. All right. See, I was segueing into this. So last night we started doing the show, and we got to the point of talking about this exact point. Dave is an American. He's a free, God-given rights, supporting the Constitution American, which is what everyone should be. So he wrote a letter, or many letters, to the government, to Daniel Malloy specifically. And I believe the content of these letters and the tone of these letters has led to, and other things that have happened recently that we won't go into, have led to an attack by electronic energy-directed weapons, directed energy weapons. So go into this a little, Dave. What happened to you recently?
Well, as you know, Howard, I tried to do a mutual friend a favor that is quite active in this movement. Since that has happened, first let me say, ever since I began speaking about my intentions of suing the state and suing this Smart Start company, I became a target as far as being followed. I've been followed by marked and unmarked police cars.
What about the 3 cops that pulled you over the other day?
I was pulled over by three state troopers for no
The day
reason.
that they had that hoax call for the schools, there was a
Yes.
hoax call, but
That's right.
3 troopers gave you a non-reg violation ticket at gunpoint.
Well,
Nice.
basically, yeah. I mean, I've got to say
That's normal. That's normal procedure in a police state. What's wrong with you, Dave?
well, I've got to say they were somewhat polite, and it all happened because I had my trailer and something didn't sound right, so I pulled over. Next thing I know, they're pulling over behind me. But it seemed obvious to me that they just, I guess they wanted to hear my voice or something, because my understanding was that this was a call-in bomb threat, a
But
registration.
3 troopers gave you a non-reg violation ticket at gunpoint. Nice.
Well, basically, yeah. I mean, I've got to say
That's normal. That's normal procedure in a police state. You got what's wrong with you, Dave?
well, I've got to say they were somewhat polite, and it all happened because I had my trailer and something didn't sound right, so I pulled over. Next thing I know, they're pulling over behind me.
All right, so Dave, so then they had this bomb threat at Torrington. It was in Torrington, right?
Yes, about an hour prior to my
So
dealing with the police.
right, so then they pulled you over because you'd pulled to the side, just to fix the trailer.
I just wanted to check the trailer. Something didn't sound right.
So these 3 cops pull up. I mean, I guess they were just paranoid, right? Or was it like, we just want to prove that this is a police state? I guess.
Well, I can't say. If it seems to me if there's a bomb thing going on in Torrington, all the state cops coming out of that Litchfield barracks should have been in Torrington at that moment.
Doesn't that sound? Yeah, wouldn't that be right? Yeah.
But they instead, approximately an hour, from my understanding, when the call was made, I had a small group of them just checking me out.
Oh. And then what happened recently?
Well, recently, in the last few weeks, I strongly believe I've been attacked by this directed energy weaponry. In describing it, I can only say it's hell. It's pure hell. It starts in the back of your neck, and just takes off from there to different extremities, right down to the inner core of your torso. I was incapacitated 2 separate times out of, I believe, 7, to a point where I was not able to move enough to get a cell phone out of my pocket to call 911, because I literally thought I was dying. And I've been able to, in being a little more aware of what does go on, I will contest to the fact that I know of at least 2 of these occasions. Shortly around that, within a matter of a few minutes, they're out in the middle of nowhere for some reason. What appears to be some kind of a service van has pulled over.
A white service van.
A white service van pulled over to the side of the road, and I'm just out cutting a little bit of firewood, and think nothing of it. Well, the guy's having lunch, or he's on the phone doing paperwork. I don't know. And two of these episodes, the van was there.
You saw the van.
The van was there. It's during this thing, besides the pain and the tingling and all that, it's definitely an electrical charge of some sort.
You can feel it.
I know electricity. I've been zapped by 110. I've been zapped low voltage. I hit the 40,000 volt thing one time on a color TV and was kicked clear across a room. So I know what electricity feels like. And this was definitely some sort of energy.
Yes, Barbara.
Let me just tell you this, that I have a very long history of investigating this type of weaponry. I am not a scientist nor a technical expert, but because it has been used on me, we're going back more than 2 decades here, okay, and many other people. And what you experience, what it sounds to me, they call it an electronic bullet, because it feels like it hits like a bullet, right?
It just, yeah, it's so fast. It's just there. Like okay. Yes, like somebody hit me in the back of the neck.
The other part of this is the part about the vans. They have these rolling hell mobiles, I call them hell mobiles, where the operator inside, he's not having lunch. He's fooling around in there with his high-tech war toys, anti-personnel weaponry, and if you see one of those vans and something like this happens, you can best believe the source of where it came from. That's what they do.
Well, if I see this van again, because I'm not going to stay away from the top of this hill I'm on, I'm going to walk right up to it and see what's going on. And the only thing I will say that I can do in defense of myself is I'll have a chainsaw in my hand.
Well, how about this, Dave? If you have a camera, like a phone,
you gotta film it.
Go right up to it and photograph it from any angle you can get, especially the license plate, see what they
Definitely.
said.
Yes,
Then
I
you've
will
got
do that.
evidence